Morning. Happy Friday, everybody. Today's surprise activity day is going to be a science experiment. We're going to make a rainbow jar, and it's going to teach us about density. I'll explain that in a minute. I'm going to do this experiment in my kitchen because it'll be really handy to have the sink to wash out my measuring cup with. So you're going to need honey, corn syrup, liquid dish soap or hand soap, a cup of water, some vegetable oil or olive oil, and some rubbing alcohol. And if you don't have any of these layers, you can just skip them. The experiment will still work. And then you'll need a jar. I'm going to use this tall, skinny jar because my layers will get to be really nice and thick in a skinny jar. So try and find a jar that's skinnier rather than wide. Then you'll need a measuring cup and a spoon to stir, and some food coloring. And a dropper. If you don't have a dropper, you can use a straw, or maybe your mom or dad has a baster. You can ask them what that is. Okay, so we're going to learn about density, and density means how heavy something is. So these liquids all have a different density. They all weigh they're all a different weight. And so the ones that are the heaviest are going to go to the bottom, and the ones that are lighter are going to stay at the top. So that means the most dense liquids will stay at the bottom, and the less dense liquids will be at the top. Let's get started. So we're going to start with our honey. You can pour your honey into your measuring cup. You're going to use about 1/4 of a cup. If your jar is really wide, you might want to use a little bit more than 1/4 of a cup. And you'll need your really good pouring skills that you've been practicing all year. We're going to pour this into the jar, but we don't want it to touch the sides at all. We want it to just go straight in the middle, so we'll have to pour it really carefully. Okay, so I'm going to rinse my measuring cup out really good. And now I'm going to use the corn syrup, and I'll also do 1/4 of a cup. I'm going to turn this corn syrup green. You can choose whichever color you'd like. I just did 2 drops of green food coloring, and then I'm going to stir it together. And we'll go ahead and pour that right in the middle on top of the honey. We'll go so slow so we make sure to get it right in the middle. Oh, it's staying on top. So what does that mean? That's right, it means that the honey is heavier than the cornstarch. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and rinse my measuring cup out. And our next layer is gonna be the dish soap. Some people might have like a blue or a green dish soap. Mine is clear, so I'll make it a color. I think I'll make mine red. So I'll do 2 drops of red food coloring. We'll see if that's enough. I'm gonna do 1 more. Stir it together really good. And then we'll pour it again right in the middle on top of the corn syrup. It's fun to watch how it looks like it might start to break through the corn syrup layer, but then it floats right back to the top. So since our dish soap stayed on top, what does that mean? Is it more dense or less dense? So more heavy or less heavy than the corn syrup? That's right, it's less heavy. Okay, I rinsed my measuring cup out, and we're gonna do water now. So we'll pour a 1/4 cup of water in to our measuring cup. And I think I'll make this layer orange. So to make orange, we're gonna do a drop of yellow and a drop of red. Let's see how that does. It's still very red, so I'm gonna add a couple more drops of yellow. And even a couple more. There we go. All right, and again, I'm gonna go so slow, right in the middle. It looks to me like our colors are sort of mixing, but it could just be because our orange is not that different from our red. You could try doing a blue color also, and that might help make the line really distinct. But I can see, it's hard to see on the video, but I can see that there's a line between my red and my orange. Okay, I'm gonna rinse my water cup out. And then we're going to do the oil. So we'll do a 1/4 cup of oil. And I'm just going to pour that right in because it's a different color than the layer that I just did. So we'll go right in the middle. The oil is fun because it has a different texture also. It's kind of bubbly, so you can really see the layer. Okay, and then we'll do the rubbing alcohol. Let me rinse this out really quick. So we'll do a 1/4 cup of rubbing alcohol. And I'm going to make that blue. So I just did 1 drop of blue. For the rubbing alcohol, we're going to use our dropper now. And instead of getting it in the middle, we'll want to get it down the side. That way it won't mix with the water that's below the oil. So I'm just letting it drop down this side and then it collects in the middle. I'm not going to do all of it. You can keep going if you'd like. Okay, so now we have our rainbow jar. So we know that honey is our heaviest, most dense liquid. Corn syrup is the next densest. The dish soap, and then the water, and then the oil, and then the rubbing alcohol. That's in order of density. So now that you know all of that information, you can go ahead and play around with these materials. You can try mixing them in different orders and see if they still end up in this order or if they mix together. Maybe some liquids will mix together, maybe some will stay separate. You can also try dropping an object in your rainbow jar and see if that object is more or less dense than some of the layers. It'll stop above the layer if it's less dense than that layer is. You can also play with your dropper and try and put drops through to the bottom to see if you can get one layer of liquid to go below the other one. You can go ahead and just play around with these now that you have all of the stuff out. Have fun. Have a great weekend.